I've been trying to prove for so long that Trump is trying to give back free will to the people, the quote-unquote republic, by exposure, which is draining the swamp, also known as dismantling the deep state. So I just made a video breaking down the birthright citizenship and how stopping that will expose who the true Americans are and how we were enslaved, our identity stolen, and given to other people. We were never slaves, we are prisoners of war, because this is what is proven. Why do y'all think the first executive order they want to try to hold back is the birthright citizenship? Because it'll literally blow the top open on everything by itself. Trump fires at least 12 inspector generals. Now I'm about to break this down. The agencies include Departments of Defense, State, Transportation, Veterans Affairs, Housing, Urban Development, Interior, and Energy. Now what is an inspector general? They're responsible for reviewing and investigating government agencies to detect and prevent fraud, waste, and abuse. Independent oversight. They operate independently from agencies to oversee allowing for unbiased evaluations. They have investigative powers, which is audits, and inspections to gather information to identify issues. They report their findings to Congress, allowing for accountability and potential policy changes. It focuses on waste, fraud, and abuse. The primary goal is to identify and prevent instances of mismanagement, fraud, and abuse within government programs. And clearly, it's been happening this whole time, and that's what he's preventing from happening right now. So, the Inspector General Act was signed into law in 1978, establishing the first 12 presidential appointed inspector generals in the federal agencies. Now I find it ironic that the first number they came out with was 12. Now there's 73 statutory inspector generals. So to keep it simple, inspector generals are the checks and balances within inside the government agencies to prevent corruption and misuse. And obviously, they are under massive corruption right now. For instance, before the pandemic, we have Scott here. He was the FDA director from 2017 to 2019. Now after the pandemic, he's now the board of directors of a pharmaceutical company that he overseeing, meaning he knows all the loopholes and can stay ahead of the game on both ends. So when inspector generals are corrupt, it leads all the agencies to be corrupt, which becomes a culture. In turn, that is what reverses the system. Hence the reason why we use debt notes. The reverse Babylonian system is what breeds discrimination. Now check this out. This is literally on the Department of Defense website. This word right beside me involves the use of force, fraud, or coercion to obtain a type of labor or commercial act. Every year, millions of men and women and children are around the world, including right here in the US. These people might use the following methods to lure victims into these situations: violence, manipulation, false promises of well-paying jobs and relationships, language barriers, fear of and also law enforcement keeps victims from seeking help. Think about that. The HTs usually target people with sociological or emotional vulnerability, economic hardship, and lack of a social safety net. So I'm going ahead and say it. We all know what group of people literally deals with that every single day. And also we got natural disasters and political instability. We see what happened natural disasters, they just replace everybody so you can't come back. And the political side, you see just messes with everybody's emotions that they don't be thinking, they just follow. And as y'all can see, the trauma caused by the HTs is usually not even identified. The victims don't even know they are being HT'd. And that's exactly why I keep bringing this up, so people really understand that we are prisoners of war, because that's what HT stands for. So y'all see it for yourself. This has been going on in everyone's lives since we was born. The people upholding this system either knows what they're doing or have no clue at all, and is completely blind to all the harm that they are causing. Now this is why the other side of the hybrid humans have to be judged, because they don't even realize what they've been doing this whole time. And they supposed to be learning a lesson, which is learning good versus evil. So I'm gonna attach two videos at the end to explain the Chevron deference, the difference between being selected and elected, and how to consolidate all our energy for control. Yo, check it. I'm about to explain the recent Supreme Court decisions from my perspective. And I'm sure y'all will understand. It'll be about the three scholars decisions: the Chevron deference, Trump's immunity, and the homeless. But first, watch this video. I recently just made it, so it should be one or two videos before this one, so you have a better standing on the word elect versus other words they use to confuse you, such as selected or appointed. First, the Chevron deference. Let's start off with the Supreme Court has always been the only real court that is guaranteed to use elected officials all the time. The only other real court is criminal court, because they deal with the law because somebody probably got hurt. The only issue with that is that they're corrupt. They knowingly allow people that isn't elected to step into their courts and play their game, which is a conflict of interest. So all the other courts, such as civil court, isn't real because there's no elected officials. To keep it simple, for instance, those judges aren't real judges. So basically, the state's only elected officials, chosen by the public, can make decisions for their jurisdiction. Now you see all these stories, how the way they saying it weakens the Fed, right? It's because those are private businesses. Think about it. If we don't know who runs the Fed, how is it possible we publicly elected someone we don't know? This means they was appointed and then created policies over the law. This is what's being canceled out because of deceiving the public. So I'm about to explain the difference of an officer and a deputy. It's almost the same thing, but all on different levels. So check this out. Are police chiefs elected or appointed? The chief of a city police department is usually appointed by the mayor, another city official, or a group of city officials. They are selected from a pool of candidates within the city's police department and outside police departments. Large metropolitan areas have selected police commissioners. Some townships and counties have sheriff departments. The sheriff is the top officer and is also chosen by the public through elections. To gain these positions, police commissioners and sheriff candidates campaign throughout the election season to make the case for voters as to why they're the best person for the job. So you see, the police chief is appointed, while the sheriff is elected. And don't let the word police commissioner confuse you neither. A police commissioner may be an experienced police officer, through some are politically appointed or elected civilians, not sworn police officers. So they have police in their name, but they're not even a police officer. So they're not even in the same category at all. But as you can see, he'll hand all the work to the chief of police. And I just explained to y'all what that is. So I made this real quick for a quick visual of what I just said. But notice there's a difference of the law, the statute, and the policy. So basically, police don't really have any real power from the public, but they enforce the policy and statutes. I mean, it literally says policy enforcement. Then you got the deputies, which is supposed to enforce the law. And usually this is when there's an injury to someone. But as I mentioned earlier, they are corrupt. Hence the reason why they follow policies and statutes also. Let's start paying attention to their vehicles so y'all can see there's a clear difference. Deputy sheriffs will usually have that on there. It may also have peace officer or law enforcement. And I promise you, you will never see police on a deputy vehicle because they shouldn't be enforcing policy. I mean, their vehicles literally the complete opposite colors. In my town, one's white and one is black. Y'all remember back in the day when they was talking about defund the police, right? It's because it's obvious that too many officers are going rogue and it's becoming too much for the sheriffs to handle. Well, at least the ones that actually want to do good for their communities. This is why you usually see the deputies out with the community, gaining trust in order to get and keep and maintain the power of the people. They know exactly what they are doing energetically. The Chevron deference basically is giving the power back to the public. But of course, the public don't know that we have the power. Think about it like this. If there was a community of 100 people, they elect one of the 100 people to be a mayor. Now this mayor has the power of 100 people of the community because of the trust and judgment. And then we give them access to our Social Security trust, which is our Social Security number, which holds all our credit that is used to support the community. So this mayor creates all kinds of laws that the whole community agrees with. He then selects one of the 100 people to control the food. Let's call this person FDA. So the FDA decided to make their own policies for the food. Further down the line, the FDA starts to get greedy and abuses power by buying cheaper GMO foods. In turn, people don't like because people are starting to get sick from this food. Before this case, the FDA could say we're following all our rules and regulations. There's nothing wrong for as long as they want. So after the case, the elected official has to make the decision, usually by a vote of the people, because that's where all the power is at. You see, because before the FDA never really had the real power to change anything. They was just unchecked because of the loopholes in the laws. But now they can be checked and overthrown by the people, so your power matters. The Supreme Court's disastrous Trump immunity decision explained. The court's Trump immunity decision is a blueprint for dictatorship. The Supreme Court ruling will allow more aggressive homeless encampment removals. This is all a setup. I've been telling y'all they've been strategically doing all this. Why do y'all think y'all rent been skyrocketing? I know y'all heard about the FEMA watch this video because I'm literally showing y'all exactly what they're doing, and I've been doing this for years, and it's just unfolding. And I'm not even gonna lie, it's crazy to see that we are really living a movie. But yeah, like I say, check it out so you can see exactly where we are in their plans. Y'all don't think it's odd that they're making all these decisions at this accelerated rate? I already told y'all several times, 2025 is the last year of this reality. So dramatic changes have to be made in order to manipulate you into their reality. So yeah, I hope you have a better understanding of the sick game they've been playing this whole time. As I mentioned before, definitely watch those videos because everything will link together and make sense. Anyways, y'all know how to keep it. Y'all be gods. Peace. Also, I forgot to mention on the declaration of war against the United States of America by NASA, which is on my Instagram subscriptions. If you want to see the full presentation that literally shows the last 20 years before it happens. But y'all see all these agencies, right? These are the agencies I'm talking about that lost power because they don't have elected officials. And we all know what they really do. They all work together to keep us trapped here. Now, what you think they're gonna do when they know they're on their last stand? It doesn't take rocket science. Wake up, people. I'm sure by now we all seen clips of the first episode of the Biden and Trump show. And if you got the nerve to say this word, VOTE, you're an NPC demon. Now let me explain. This demon is on a computer scale, which is the Matrix. It's a type of computer program that runs in the background performing various tasks without direct interaction from the user. It's like having helpful little assistants that take care of things for you. Now before they scrubbed the internet, guess who else was called the demon online? Now think about what I just said on a larger scale of the Matrix. These are some of the assistants. And notice it's called Demon 2s, as in there's more than one kind. So the assistants are also the attendants of the vessel, which is a body. So the attendant can be a power, a spirit, a genius, usually a demon in mythology, a supernatural being whose nature is intermediate between that of a god and a human being. This is what I always mention, how the way they mix with the image of man, because the frequencies can be negative or positive and it'll be unknown until judgment day. But obviously in this aspect, we're talking about the negative beings. Now ask yourself these questions. Do you know what you have to do in order to VOTE? Also, do you know what happens when you do VOTE? I'm about to answer this and explain it so you have a better standing on it just in case you don't know. Now what's one question you always hear people ask? Have you registered to VOTE? You see, most people don't think hard enough to really understand this question because you need something physical to register. And guess what you're registering? It's right in the question. You, your vessel, your body. It's the exact same thing you do with your car every year when you register it to your state, all in order to play their game. That's why we place their state flag behind the car and have a license saying we know the rules to the game. That's why we get pulled over by those officers that works for that state. It's all a game. So once you register your body, right, you are now a citizen under their jurisdiction for as long as the contract you unknowingly agreed to. Also, another thing, when you hear about these people automatically getting drafted, it's because they're already citizens. They are already under their jurisdiction. The people that didn't sign any contracts will be free. So since people have been deceived to join their side, in return, they have a choice of two of their preferred realities, and it won't even be theirs. Imagine that. It's crazy to see how people don't know the whole system has to go down. I mean, look around. Everything we see, they clearly and intentionally did this on purpose. And it can only get worse because they're adding AI. So I said all that to say this. If we are the elect, in other words, the chosen by God, the chosen ones, we possess all the energy. Remember this phrase, the power is within the people. This is what they mean on a spiritual level. So once you register your vessel, you give up your energy. You are then placed on an electoral roll, which is the people that has been deceived or not deceived, to give up their energy, to help continue fueling this matrix. So ask yourself this question, why VOTE for a system none of us want to be in? Just think about it. Think about this too. I mentioned several times that a lot of people we see aren't even real. They are part of the program to help steer your mind into psyops, just like this one, to get consent to drain our energy. Anyways, y'all know how to keep it. Y'all be guys. Peace.